them myself. And the thing about addiction in particularly, it seems like any definition that we were either exposed to this week, or maybe that we've heard of in times past, it really kind of includes two characteristics, if you will. The first is some sort of abnormal attachment to something. I say the word abnormal, even though that wasn't used in our text. But I use the word abnormal because I think that there are some attachments that are healthy, and just in regular behavioral science, attachments are scientifically, plausible. I think when in regards to childhood development, attachment is appropriate, and then sometimes it's necessary in children to be attached to their parents or to be attached to some sort of comfort. Not necessarily, for long periods of time, but it happens. Now, as far as addiction goes, it's an abnormal attachment because we are generally, in a different phase of life, and what we're attaching ourselves to, or what is attaching itself to us, is not something that we would, see as socially acceptable and of the norm. The second characteristic that you and I have both kind of discovered in the definition of addiction is, you talked about the addiction is any compulsive habitual behavior that limits the freedom of human desire. Freedom is that other word, and addiction tends to characteristically deny you that freedom. Now, the Apostle Paul writes in his epistle that he who the Son has set free is free indeed. I think that we have a biblical principle there that is very warped by addiction, and that makes the addiction sinful. There's also many other things that make addiction sinful, but the bare definition of sin is something that separates us from God, and addiction certainly helps to do that. And so I wanted to just discuss with you, and I misspoke. It was not Paul the apostle who that's in the Gospel of John, chapter 8. So I do apologize. So I misspoke on that. But he who the Son sets free is free indeed. That's John chapter 8. So anyway, the principle still does the same. I just misstated the reference. But freedom and attachment are the two primary words that I see as a common factor in the majority of the definitions that we have been exposed to over the last week, and honestly, the presuppositions that I brought into this class about addiction and substance abuse, and those are really the two confining and factors that I've seen in my experience and in my work, and what I brought into the class. So it's interesting to see kind of those things come to light through the text that we've read, and seeing what other students as well as myself have picked out. So thank you for your insight, and thanks for listening to me babble on for the last couple minutes. So God bless. I look forward to reading more of your work.